Chavre, a guten Erev Shabbos Kodesh. How are you? I hope everyone is gesund, stark, und freilich, begashmis und beruchnis. I hope everyone is healthy, strong, and happy, physically and spiritually. Today is Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Tzav. It's Shabbos HaGodel. This Sunday, Mirta Hashem, is Alef Nissan, the Rebbe's birthday. And it's Parshas Tzav. And Mirta Hashem, this is going to be the shiur we're going to give for Pesach. Even though we're going to connect it to Parshas Tzav, and Pesach is going to be, we're going to be learning Shmini, but nevertheless, the lessons are eternal, and I'm sure I can leave it to you to connect it to Parshas Shmini. Because what we're going to speak about today is very, you could say, general, connected to Yiddishkeit. Today's shiur is called The Good Life. And I believe this is one of the novelties, one of the chidushim of the Rebbe, which he himself said something similar. But first, we start with tzedakah, gedel tzedakah shemakareves agula. Don't forget to give charity before Pesach. There's something called kimcha de pischa, that's special money for mois chitim to help all those that need help financially to be able to celebrate the holiday in a very broad, royal manner. So we're going to say a pasuk that we said from last week, from the Rebbe's new kapitel, which is so amazing, because I discovered a medrash on this pasuk, and that's what we're going to focus on today, connected to the parsha. And I said this pasuk last week: "Tiva Adonai latoivim v'lisharim b'libaisam." Do good, Hashem, to good people and to upright in their hearts. So it's a good question. What is the definition of good? So it's interesting that the Rebbe once said by Fabring, and I'm sure I said this before, that when you go to a person, you should tell him that when Mashiach is going to come, so it's good. When Mashiach is going to come, it's going to be good. Veter affect on vos says good, and he's going to say, what does it mean that it's going to be good? Darf man sagen, es wird good wie versteht good. Then he has to understand that it's going to be good according to the way he understands good. And if to him good means a hot dog and a cold beer and a bar of chocolate, so be it. It includes that automatically, because when you learn Chassidus and you learn about the ultimate good, supreme good, means that it's good on every single level. As the ultimate truth, as the word emes, Alef, Mem, Sof, as we spoke many times, is something which runs through the entire reality, the entire existence. Just like Alef is the first letter, Mem is the middle letter, and the Sof is the last letter of the Alef base, so too, whatever is good would be good on every single level. Anyways, on the Medrash, on these words, Heitiva Hashem Latoivim, the Medrash Tillim says, Yovoi Toiv, V'yekabel Toiv, Mitoiv Letoivim. The good one is going to receive good from the good to give it to the good. And the Medrash says, Yovei Toiv, a good one will come, Zeh Moshe. That referring to Moshe Rabbeinu, Shenemar Vataro Yiseki Toiv, ho! That when he was born, they saw he was good. Mitoiv, what does it mean that Yovei Toiv, V'yikabel Toiv Mitoiv is going to receive from the good? Zeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's going to receive from Hashem, Shenemar Toiv Hashem Lakel. Hashem is good to all. And V'yikabel Toiv, what does it mean? He's going to receive the good. Zeh HaTorah, Shenemar Kilekach Toiv Nasati Lechem. I gave you a good portion that goes in the Torah. Letoivim Elu Yisrael, to the good guys, the good ones, that's the Jewish nation. Shenemar, based on this pasuk, the Medrash brings this pasuk to show how the Jews are called the Tovim. Heitiva Hashem Litoivim Latoivim Lisharim B'Lebeisam. My friends, we have to start looking at your next door neighbor as the man who is so annoying sometimes and obnoxious, or whatever it is in your opinion. He is not your enemy, he's a good guy. Anyways, this is what the Medrash. So right away we have a connection to Alef Nissan from this kapitel, because this Medrash brings down Yovei Toiv Zeh Moshe, that from him he was born, it was Toiv. Now, let's connect it to the Parsha and connect it to Pesach. what I'm going to say now primarily comes from the Kuti Sichas Chelik Zayin. The Rebbe explains over there, and it gets to a very essential question in Yiddishkeit, which we spoke about many times. But first, we'll say the Pasuk and the Rashi, V'edaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Tzav es Aaron es Bonov, command Aaron and his sons, Leimer zeis teres Eilah, to tell him many laws connected to the Korban Eilah. And Rashi brings down, what's this word over here? Usually it says daber or emer. And over here it says command. Ein tzav el loshen zeros. Command can only be meant to express urging on. Miyad for the immediate moment and for future generations. Miyad ulodeis. And then Reb Shimon said, B'yoyse tzorach hakosel lezareis. The pasuk must especially urge in a situation where there's loss of money. We're not going to explain what that means, but it means, in other words, in a case where there might be procrastination and delay or laziness. So there especially, in other words, you'll have reasons why not to do it. Over there especially, the pasuk says Tzav. Now, if you look at it simply, that means we needed to say Tzav because otherwise you wouldn't feel it so powerfully. In other words, it's a shtickle chesaron. Normally it says daber emer. That means there's no reason what would be holding you back and preventing you from doing the right thing. So therefore we don't have to say command. But when you say command, it's like in the army, when you say, is that an order, sir? And if you say, yes, it's an order, okay, that's an order. So in the same way over here, command means it's an order. And it seems to imply, but Pashtus, when you look at the Rashi, it's because otherwise the person would have a difficulty, etc. Comes the Rebbe in L'Kutei Sichas Chelik Zayin and speaks about the awesomeness. And the word Tzav reflects a deeper intimacy and a bond from a Yid to Hashem. Why? First he explains the Yom Yom of Ches Cheshvan, which I don't want to elaborate on it so much. Look it up yourself, and you look up the Sikha. And I think the Sikha, I never saw a place where it's explained so much. This analogy that's explained about the word command also means Tzavsa v'chibra, connection. And what's the usual explanation? That imagine a professor of nuclear physics, mathematics, a genius at abstract thought, and a simpleton, or a truck driver, or a bricklayer, someone who has no understanding in pure mathematics. Algebra, forget about it. Calculus, what's that? And here we have the professor and we have this person. And the analogy is, that's brought on Chassidus, they don't exist in the same world. They're not in the same dimension. They're not in the same realms. And not because the super academic professor negates or belittles the bricklayer. No. It's just that they have zero in common. There's such a distance. The world of academia and the world of bricks are not related. And he brings the famous analogy that Rebbe goes on and on in the Sikha with the Alter Rebbe's famous marshal, that if someone will say that we can't touch a concept, you'd laugh at him, because the word of touch, feeling, has nothing to do with the realm of concept and ideas. And the Rebbe explains, when it comes to music or sight or smell, we have instruments, physical instruments, that could measure it. So then you could say, you can't touch it with your fingers, but we have instruments, scientific instruments that could measure a scent, a sense of smell, how powerful the smell is, or vision, what degree is the intensity of the light, and sound, etc., etc. But when it comes to intellect, they're not in the same dimension, and touch. Not because touch is getting belittled by intellect, or because intellect feels haughty compared to touch. They just have nothing to do with each other. So the Rebbe says, so in the same way, it's brought in Chassidus that this professor and this simpleton don't exist at all in the same reality. But when now the super genius will ask this person, do me a favor, by the request that he requests from that person, that itself creates the connection, that creates the bond. And this is the analogy to explain the words mitzvah, tzivui, tzav. One meaning is commandment, and the other meaning is connection, bond, because it's through the commandment that Yidden are connected to the Eibishter. Why? Because as far as you can imagine the distance between the world of intellect and the world of touch, now imagine the greatest distance that could exist between two entities is creator and creation. It's beyond words even to explain the distance between creator and creation. And here the word is that the Eibishter chose the Yidden. We're not talking about the Yidden, the Eibishter one, but we're just saying the idea why mitzvah tzaf tzavachibur, that through the mitzvahs, when we fulfill what this professor wants us to do, for example, and this simpleton, then he has value in the eyes of the professor because now he's in his world, and not only that, he asks something of you. The Eibishter is tachlis habli gvul, and we are kotn shebektanim, mere mortals. How can we bridge the gap and make a connection and a unity and a bond with infinity? How could the finite become one with infinity when the infinity reaches out to the finite and says, please do this? So that's the way it's explained all over Chassidus. Comes along the Rebbe and now adds another point. But first we'll say with the famous question, which I don't really go into, because I'm sure we spoke about it already 20 times. What's greater? When we speak about doing something because we chose to do it, choice, or when we do something when we have no choice? Yesh b'zeh ma'ashein b'zeh v'yesh b'zeh ma'ashein b'zeh. In a certain sense, you could say the entire Likutei Sichos touches upon this one way or the other. On the one end, of course, you'd say choice is better. Because choice means you really want to do it with your full heart. Your totality is involved. There's no iota or particle of yourself that's not involved in doing it. It's because you want to do it. So on a previous level, it became one with you completely. It's your satisfaction. It's really you. But if we say that something is you're doing it only because you're forced to do it, in a way you could argue and say it's not really you. It's because something is superimposed on you, is pressing upon you, and therefore you have to do it. You have no choice. But on the other hand, we say, when you do something out of choice, that doesn't really mean that you're serving Hashem. You could be serving yourself. When you do something because of choice, because you like it, because it feels good for you, that doesn't mean you're really loyal to the other. When your wife asks you to do something which you don't enjoy doing necessarily, like cleaning the dishes on a Motzei Shabbos, or vacuuming or mopping the floor, and you do it, and why do you do it? Because she asked you to do it. That is what your wife really appreciates, because that's really a sign that you love her. And it's the same thing over here with the Yidden. When the Eibishter tells us something, and we're doing it out of no choice, but in a way, what is the point that there's no choice? It's because we trust in Hashem totally, and we're loyal to Him, that if He's commanding us to do it, whether we understand it or not, I have your back. I'm with you, Hashem. We're here. Hineni. And that's really the famous Gemara that talks about Matan Torah. Everybody knows the Gemara on Shabbos, where the guy says, I forgot exactly who said to who, how could you say Nasa K'ed Nishma? That we said we will do, and then we'll understand, and we will hear. In other words, whatever it is, we'll do it. Does a normal person sign a contract without reading the details? So this person said the famous line, I'm a Paziza, you're a wild nation, it's irrational. K'dmaichu p'maichu ladunaichu. You proceeded your mouth before your ears. Doesn't make any sense. And the Gemara says, this is what makes the Jews unique. Tumas Yishorim Tanchem. And like it says in the Pasuk here, Yishorim Bili Beisam. Tumas Yishorim Tanchem means the upright were led with their tmimus, with their wholesomeness. Which means we are so deeply united, so deeply in an intimate relationship with Hashem, that we are ready to follow, no matter what, without understanding. And that's what it means, no choice. Like a child, the Rebbe gave us a mashal once in the Sikha. Imagine a father who's coming home from work and his child hasn't seen him and he's 2 years old and he's just running to the father. He doesn't even understand exactly what it means that that person's his father. He just knows he's his father. What makes that person a father, another person a father? He's 3 years old, he has no understanding, no real awareness. He runs to his father and jumps up and hugs him with all his heart and soul. It's like there's something in him, a chip, that just says, Father, 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 you're drawn to the Father. Or like the Alter Rebbe explains in chapter 19, the spark always is yearning. There's a homing device that's always source. That's it. And this is what it means over here. Those mitzvahs, and the Rebbe doesn't really get into it over here, why these mitzvahs in this week's Parsha. But in the mitzvahs where Hashem says Tzav, that brings out the ultimate bond. Because in those mitzvahs, it's like even before you do the mitzvah, it's saying, you have no choice. It's a command. Now obviously, technically, al pi halacha, even when Hashem said Daber and Emor, it's obviously mitzvahs and mitzvahs deraisa, etc., so we're obligated and it's mandatory. But nevertheless, by those mitzvahs, where it doesn't say the word command, so it's an expression of you have no choice. It's orders. And we are still willing and ready to do it. That shows the deepest bond. That transcends intellect. That transcends logic. Essence to essence. The essence of Hashem to the Yidden and the essence of the Yidden to Hashem. And that's the advantage and superiority of no choice. It shows that a deeper relationship with Hashem transcends boundaries, transcends borders, transcends limits. And that's what the Rebbe explains in Chilik Zayin. And now we understand why Tzav and Tzav Sevechibur, when it comes to the mitzvahs where we, so to speak, there's a language of no choice, it brings it out the deeper connection, as we explained till now. Now let's connect it to Pesach. In other words, it's all about the essential bond. Every single holiday, according to Chassidus, is about the essential bond. So first of all, when did this happen, that this bond happened? Nasa Kodim Nishma, bone to bone, essence to essence, matan Torah. And that's why David says, Hashem took us out. Tavnes Elikim Elorazeh, the whole point of Yitzias Mitzrayim was matan Torah. Ata v'chatonu mikol ha'amim. When Hashem put his chip, Chelik Elikam Imal Mamish, V'atem Tili Mamlechas Koyim V'goy Kodesh, he put that chip into us, and that was the homing device. That's it, essence to essence. Everyone knows the famous Taicha the Rebbe in the Agoda. What do we tell the Rasha? This is a wild pshat to the Rebbe. I'm not getting into the simple pshat. We have no more time. It's late. It's a Friday. The Rebbe learns pshat. We have to tell the Rasha, if he would have been in the story of Exodus, then he wouldn't have been redeemed. Because that was before Matan Torah. The day we walked out of Egypt was before Matan Torah. But since Matan Torah, once Hashem chose us, Bonimein, no matter what. Like it says in the Pasuk, he made us the Tovim eternally by giving us the Torah. And you are good, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, you are good. So that's connection to Pesach. That the whole idea of Pesach is really Matan Torah. Another connection of Pesach, which is beautiful, is a word from the Kotzka. I don't know if I ever said it before, probably I did, I love it. It says, Upasach Hashem ala Pesach, Hashem calls, Upasach Hashem ala Pesach, it says Hashem passed over the doors of the Jews because we put the Dam Pesach and the Dam Milah by Makkah's Bechiris. That's why where the name Pesach comes from this pasuk. He passed over. The Kotzke said, I made it to give her to Pesach Hashem. Hashem passed over. Upasach Hashem as a Pesach. He passed open the door. He passed over the openings. His own rules. He made a rule, you should make for me a small hole, and I will make a whole open of a doorway, a grand banquet hall. On the night of 15th of Nissan, my friends, listen up, buddies. This Wednesday night, Leil Tzav Nissan, Hashem himself said, don't worry about this rule. Pesach Hashem ala Pesach, we're reigniting, we're re-triggering all the things of what Pesach is about and what Matan Torah is about, essence to essence. Bein kach boneim. In 1 second you can go from 1,000, from 0 to 1,000. Blast off. Because the Abishah said, no conditions apply. Anybody who shows up to the Seder, unconditional elevation, unlimited elevations. The sky is not the limit. That's what it means, Pesach Hashem ala Pesach. And why? Because of our essential bond, our essential connection again. So that's Pesach. We spoke about Pesach, we spoke about the Rebbe's Kapitel, we spoke about Tzav. And Shabbos HaGodel, obviously Godel means infinite, Godel means there's no end. And the same thing is over here, something which we cannot measure. This relationship that we have to Hashem, it starts from Shabbos HaGodel, really, we start saying the Haggadah. Now I want to connect it to your Alef Nissan. I believe this is a theory of mine. I believe one of the chidushim of the Rebbe was that the Rebbe was the one who spoke the language of Toiv Anireh V'Anigla. It never existed. I mean, of course, it's in Yiddishkeit, but it was really concealed so much. Everything is sourced in Torah. But in the Frierdiker Rebbe times, he wasn't promising Toiv Anireh V'Anigla. It was more like Lahavdil El of Abdullah, Winston Churchill. You know, we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them on this. Like basically, it's going to be hard times. It's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. The Frierdiker Rebbe Shaykh to write a letter and say, Ich such Mesiras Nefesh Yidden. He was looking for soldiers and Marines that were ready to actually physically die on Kiddush Hashem. And that's why he made a Krisis Bris, a covenant with 10 people, till the last drop of blood for Yiddishkeit. And so too was through all the generations in the old world, pre-World War II. Any time some pirates could pick you up, throw you in a dungeon and demand ransom. We were never free. The Frierdiker Rebbe came to America and we became free to a certain extent. But it's mainly in the Rebbe's language that we have to present Judaism as good. Not only spiritually good, but physically good. The way of Torah is a Torah's emes, Torah's chayim, and it's toiv, lekach toiv. I heard somebody say once these days, I heard the name of Dennis Prager that he said, every single day the progressive left is making me more religious. Today you don't have to be somebody who studied all different ways of life to come to the conclusion that our way is the best way. Talk to anybody for 5 minutes and they'll show you how this way is the best life. For Jews, Hashem gave us a way, Torah's Chaim, Oirach Chaim, and it's the best way. That's it. Now's not the time to sell Judaism to you, but there's nothing to talk about. And if someone else says, yeah, that's what you say, so the answer is, so let's start with what I say. And in a way, it's painful if there's some Jew that's rejecting or feels alienated or was abused, chas v'sholom. We're not judging anybody, chas v'sholom. We're just saying the Rebbe's language is that if you want to be happy, do a mitzvah, bring out your true self. If you want to be happy, connect to the ways of your fathers and your grandfathers and your great-grandparents. You'll be in touch with the real you. Could a prince, could a human decide he's a monkey? Could a monkey think he's happy? Could a cow think he's happy? Sure. But for a Jew to act like a cow or like a monkey and think he's happy, then it's just very, very sad. And the proof is by sitting down with somebody for a couple of minutes and talking about purpose and talking about meaning and talking about family life. And today it's clear from Eretz Yisrael and what happened in the last couple of years. There's so much things where it's revealed how Yidden are different and are special, and Hashem chose them, and the eternity of the Jewish nation, the immortality of Jews. It's so clear. So this is the connection to your Alef Nissan. I believe that Rebbe made an offer to Hashem and said, I will send shluchim throughout the whole world and lift up the entire world, but you should make it Tzav and. And I believe that Rebbe was successful by and large. True, Mashiach didn't come yet, so there's still tragedies. And we'll have to wait till Mashiach comes to be able to have an answer for that 100%. But nevertheless, generally speaking, there was never a better time in the history of the Jewish nation than of the Rebbe's der, the Rebbe's generation. There's nothing to talk about. And I believe the Rebbe accomplished it because he was the Rebbe of this generation, is the Rebbe of this generation, and therefore everything goes according to the Tzaddikim. Tzaddik, Yisoid Olam. And this is obviously, my friends, connected to Pesach as being Zman Cheroseinu. Just, and also connected to this week's Parsha, the Korban Todah, a sense of gratitude. So, every one of us in Mitzvah Hashem this Wednesday night and throughout the rest of the week, when we're davening and we're saying Zman Cheroseinu, this is the time of our liberation, this is the time of our freedom, this is the time of our redemption. So we have to understand what it means that we're a Jew. We transcend nature. We transcend all the Jewish nation, transcends all the rules that apply to existence, don't apply to the Jews. And this is the test, the acid test. If you're sitting over there, and saying, Ashereinu, Matev Chalkeinu, Manoim Gereleinu, and when you get up in the morning, you can actually say, Moida Ani Lefanecha, Melechai V'Kayim Shechzate Bi Nishmosi. As we said many times, the Rebbe's Chiddush is Nishmosi doesn't mean you're saying, thank God I'm alive. Thank you, Hashem, for every breath you take. You have to thank Hashem, true. But the real meaning of this, Moidani Lefanecha Melechai V'Kayim Shechzate Bi Nishmosi, my Neshama, the Neshama of the Yid. When you open up your eyes, first you're saying, thank God, Hashem, that I'm a Jew. And this is my avodah every single day of my life, to work on myself more and more, to feel that joy as the greatest thing in my life. I love being Jewish. I love that I'm a Jew. That I did. And the Eibusha should make it easier for all of us so that we should be able to say it and proclaim it loud and clear. And when you think about it, just we'll finish with this point. Something to think about. You know, Hashem in His infinite wisdom, when you talk about Yiddishkeit, there's 613 mitzvahs, and there's Menhagim, and there's Chumras, and who knows what. And the Eibusha decided, what is Judaism? That from the first second you open your eyes in the morning, you say, Moidani Lefanecha Melechai V'Kayim, Shechazata B'Nishmasi B'Chem L'Rabba Munasecha. Think about that. Wow. The Eibusha could have said, first you have to wash your hands. I'm not going to explain the whole explanation. But I'm just bringing out a point, a fact. The first second of every single Jew's life starts with a proclamation of gratitude, a mizmor l'seidah, so to speak. Because that is the number one central fact of your life, which everything else revolves around. Your existential being, your identity is, your essence is, Azich ben Ayid. And I'm thanking God that I'm a Yid. And that is my entire life it's all about. That a Yid has a good life. So Hashem should help that we should all see it more and more. Od yoter tov, v'od yoter tov. Begula mitzvah shleima takeof me'ad mamesh. A kosher and freilich Pesach. Posting from my home. Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, your man in Melbourne.